cosmological constant represents a gravitational repulsive dark energy that is accelerating the expansion of the universe. Recent supernova results suggest that the RHO vacuum equals 0.75, and the ratio of the RHO vacuum to RHO critical is called lambda. But simply put simply, dark energy comprises 75% of our universe. All in all, the Egyptian model seems reasonable and supports tenets of the string theory and the black hole theory, including Hawking's radiation. The macro level Earth spin system represents a quantum cell where proteins fold to their native conformation in a funnel or folding funnel landscape with curved black hole dynamics. Folding of Ci protein results in movement through a black hole to a future singularity of photosynthesis. Crow protein folding results in the movement through a black hole to a white hole past singularities by means of CPT violation. The preferred option recommended by the pharaohs is the cosmic bioluminescent option for species reinvention rather than a photosynthetic synthetic recycling of elements for planetary humans. The macroscopic competition. Energy can be discarded in two ways. Photosynthesis is the reaction where molecules in green leaves capture the sun's energy, converting the light into carbon dioxide and water, then into carbohydrates, producing the byproduct of oxygen. Chemiluminescence, the emission of light by an atom or molecule that is an excited state or is in an excited state, however, is the chemical reaction that dominates the universe, whereas photosynthesis produces both light and heat, such as a burning candle. Chemiluminescence produces light without heat, cold light. For chemiluminescence to occur, the excited molecule needs to generate a photon of light so that it excess excitation excitation is not transferred to the neighboring molecule in the form of thermal motion. This happens in outer space where the temperature is 3 degrees above absolute zero or 3 degrees Kelvin. Outer space is actually teeming with molecules. As of April 2003, the National Radio Astronomy Observation or Observatory reported 123 interstellar and circumstellar molecules comprises primarily of hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen, the major elements in human beings. Circumstellar species include, and I'm going to show you all of these elements because I don't know names to all of these things. So, damn, figure it out. I'll figure it out later. One way of winning the macroscopic competition is for the viral sun to envelop the prokaryotic subkingdom of Earth in a process similar to uh, phage phagocytosis. Phagocytosis. There we go. If one were sitting in the bucket of the Big Dipper and had Egyptian death vision, one would see the monstrous magnetic field net of the sun enveloping our tiny Earth cell. After all, we exist because of the advent of oxygen and the eukaryotic development. Events the pharaoh believed can be traced to the repression of a group of operons in the lysogenic lambda genome lodged in a prokaryotic cell. This repression allowed the advent of oxygen generating photosynthesis and life as we know it. The de-repression of these operons fostered the Egyptian goal of the translation of the blessed. In the chemical background of the funerary text, the victory goes back to Horus or Crow translation to protein rather than Seth or Ci. The deceased is then transfigured or cloned for ascension into the heavens with a chance of survival as a Homo sapien lambda. As physicists know, two-dimensional Hilbert space is very large, suggesting the classical states such as ours are rare. Neither the Copenhagen interpretation, with a reliance on the measurements of classical observers, nor the many-world interpretations within its large focus on the splitting quantum domain can establish the correspondence between the quantum and classical worlds, although string theory has potential. Egyptian science also has potential, for it infers that the emergence of classical reality and the resultant transition of consciousness from prokaryotic to eukaryote development is a sequential outcome of a phage lambda infection of the first prokaryotic lysogen. On the other hand, human death returns consciousness to the origin of classical reality, or a quantum state where consciousness, which resides in our genetic essence, can choose to insert into a phage lambda vector for transduction into a host cell. This pathway activates the SOS response of the lysogen, excites its lambda prophage, and produces human phage progeny, while not lysing the cell, but rendering it invisible by CPT violation back to the early universe. In other words, phage lambda made us what we are today, fermions, and what we can be tomorrow, bosons. The transfigured deceased is a unique outcome with recombinant DNA, and the clone in its entirety may retain a semblance of the classical human consciousness, albeit at a deeper, more perceptive level. The deceased claims he is one of the four gods Atum begot. As dark energy, he represents anti-gravity in the quantum world, the inversion of gravity in an early universe of unified forces. The Egyptian scientists had a sophisticated knowledge of the whole system that centered on choices made by the individual consciousness at the molecular level. The classical apparatus, that is, the world as one knew it, was no longer an option for the transfigured DNA creation, now photon-like with a lifetime approaching infinity. The pharaohs believed that this system-based choice for transfiguration was preferable to recycling ad infinitum on the prokaryotic subkingdom of Earth. A minute thermal bubble battered by the solar wind, its destruction imminent in time and leaving no host cell for transduction of the remaining human heritage. Yes. And let's get figure 22.1 here. We didn't get a good look at that before.